Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Stories of CSCA, the podcast. My name is Abbie Van Meter. I am the host of this podcast, along with my other podcast, Stories Lived, Stories Told, which is an initiative of the CMM Institute for Personal and Social Evolution. You will hopefully have listened to our 4 previous episodes, which predated the Central States Communication Association's conference, which took place this past April in Minneapolis, where we all gathered together. Those conversations were in advance of the conference to get us excited and to give more information about what was going on behind the scenes and what the people who were designing the conference, what their hopes and intentions were for each of us who were attending. Now we are following up those conversations with some post-conference recordings with participants of the CSCA conference to hear a little more about what is continuing to stick with them after the conference, what excited them, what new ideas that they were exploring or conversations they had that was interesting, what tools they gained, or what they were able to share themselves if they were presenting a paper or research. So today I'm excited to be joined by Laura O'Hara of Ball State University to tell me a little bit about her experience. Laura, thanks so much for joining me for this post-CSCA conversation where I'm hoping that we can reflect together on what the experience of CSCA was. I know that we got to share the experience of the pre-conference, which was so wonderful, along with a couple other sessions we both went to throughout the week, including one that you presented. I'm curious just to start us off very broad and ask you, what was your experience at CSCA like? What sticks out to you? What are the ideas that you're still playing with, or what are the moments that you particularly enjoyed while we were together in Minneapolis?
Well, I obviously enjoyed having dinner with my colleagues, including you and Beth and Carrie. We had a really phenomenal time just having some, time away from theoretical or the conference scene. Of course, I did enjoy our pre-conference session. It was really terrific to talk with colleagues across the country and across the region, really. And to see that we're all facing very similar challenges in the academic world. So that was wonderful. I enjoyed, of course, presenting in my own session, but I really enjoyed, I got to see some of the intercultural communication work. I got to see the top papers in that and really enjoyed. Most of them focused on, in some way, shape, or form, about the acculturation process in the United States. And of course, that was interesting to me as someone who teaches that course. So so those are some of the highlights.
Yeah, I think that's so wonderful. What's continued to stick with me was during the pre-conference, I was struck by maybe the most valuable piece of that time or couple of moments was when educators were sharing tools that they use or that their programs use. And I think you shared a really big one that a lot of people were interested in. And so I'm curious about your take on part of the value of us gathering all together is that we do get to exchange ideas, like you said, not just theoretically, but some really, really concrete ideas that matter and people genuinely, implement into their teaching.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, usually at conferences, that's where I gain the most because, we present our papers and those are very important, but talk gets real when we talk about what our daily experiences are. And again, I think just like having dinner outside of the conference space, that's the stuff that sticks. Those are the things that really, really tend to matter. And I agree with you, Abbie. I feel like, that pre-conference was one of those places.
Mm-hmm. Would you be willing to share a little bit about the specific piece of advice that you shared during the pre-conference? Because I think listeners would also be interested to hear about the, great class and system that has been implemented at Ball State, where you are at, for engaging students and also meeting some needs of the department.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that you asked. And I do think it's a really wonderful model for most of us in this day and age where we're strapped in terms of financial ability, but we're asked to be doing more than ever in terms of our engagement with prospective students, our engagement with alum, our engagement with current students, our engagement with current communities. And this model that I'll share with the listeners today is something that really came from, it's not my own creation. It's created by Ashley Coker, who was one of our comm professors, and you know her very well, and who's now the executive director at for study abroad at the Rinker Center here at Ball State. So she's just an enormously creative and brilliant human being, and she was the one who came up with this idea. And I just have the incredible luck and ability to keep this going forward. And we're in year 4. We just completed year 4, so we have a little bit of experience to back this idea. So the model is basically sort of a hub spoke model. We all recognize that we've all got these initiatives that departments want us to do, and the colleges want us to do, and university communities all want us to do, and they're all wonderful. They all involve engagement, but the problem that we found in our department, and I think it's probably safe to say most departments would have the same issue, is that we have these ideas for engagement with all of these different constituents, but we don't have the bandwidth to do any of them particularly well.
Right.
The way we were doing it, because the way we were doing it, it depended upon a faculty member or members being willing and able to organize events, to organize, strategies for reaching out to alum, to organize ways to really be on top of all of the prospective students who are coming to the university, and to really give them an experience that would get them to want to come to our university. So all of this stuff was there. And as I said, not very much of it got done very well, despite everybody being willing to do it. So what Ashley Coker organized, and what we've been following, is the idea of a practicum. And it solves an awful lot of practical problems. For one, what the practicum does is it provides a professor, a teacher, who is willing to work, get a class release once a year. And they run this, I'll call it an immersive / internship experience. And the way we run it, and it could be used differently in different institutions, but I have found best success with about 12 students. I have found best success with students that I get to interview and select, not necessarily based on, being the top academic, although we do want, students who have the ability to think on their feet and be creative, but students who have phenomenal attitudes, students who are willing to try different things, to follow through on different initiatives. And so those are the 12 I try to curate into this class. And once we have those students in place, we have about 6 fixed events in the spring semester of any given year that we have. And again, these are very specific to Ball State. It would depend on the institution as to what would matter. But I think you, Abbie, have seen a couple of these things. Mm-hmm. One, we have our COM Gala event, which we recognized coming out of COVID that our alumni recognition, our student end of year recognition was kind of anemic. It was really not a particularly well organized thing. And again, because you just didn't have the people and the bandwidth to do it. But because of this class, we've turned this COM Gala into this kind of spectacular event. And you were honored at it in April. And it's very, what I'd consider at the university level, high end. The food is catered in, everyone dresses, it's just a really nice celebration. And all of that creativity was from the students. I just was able to help them, deal with like some of the university systems that are inaccessible to them. The other event we did, or one of the other events we did, again, we know this is very important as well. Fundraising. We've all become asked to be fundraisers, and we're trying our best, but nobody was really formally trained. But again, we have worked very hard in our department and have students who are better at this than I am, help to manage a database and an outreach and a full fundraising day, One Ball State Day, and we raised $25,000, which was a record. And we were second in the university in terms of that. And again, that's because we've got students helping to manage the load. And we have all kinds of other events like that I won't go into detail about, but they're all designed to reach out to alum. Oh, actually, I will mention one. Speaking of alum, you've been part of the alum coming back to campus event, which we try to do, 4 or 5 times a year. We get 3 or 4 alum. Usually we try to group them in a particular way. I think the year you came, you guys had all graduated right around the same time. You come and you speak to students in classes. We have a luncheon and we have like a little communication lounge, an alumni lounge. And it's a really fun way for, I think, alum to give back to their alma mater. And it's a really fun way for us to introduce you to the new set of students who are coming through who you might possibly connect with and help out as they develop as professionals. So I think it's just a really wonderful thing. And that course, the COM 380 practicum, gives us the space where we can develop that. It's not an extracurricular thing. It's part of what we do.
I think that's such a wonderful offering that you gave. Again, I could feel the energy in the room during the pre-conference when you spoke through this, because as you said, a lot of people were naming similar problems, and particularly a major theme being we're asked to do so much, so many different things, but not necessarily given the resources or the time or have the systems put in place to actually accomplish those things. So while most of the other things that were talked about in terms of tools were on an individual level, oh, I use this system to give student feedback, or I use this system to whatever, but you were talking about something that is more department wide and makes the solution to a number of different problems systemic, and it integrates a lot of things in a really creative way. So again, so much credit to Ashley Coker, who created this, and to you for continuing it, and your department for seeing the value in it. So I'm glad you shared that again here, because hopefully people listening, if not that's something they can exactly do, maybe have some more creative juices flowing or some perspective gained from hearing that about it's not just you as an individual, but what can we bake into the way we do things? How can we get creative? What can we add that is new? And that seems like such an important theme across probably much of academia, but specifically communication as a field right now.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I would say, in the spirit of sharing, I don't know what mechanisms you have for sharing, but I do have intel on that I'm willing to share. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, I can easily and very happily share our model. And because it's also very adaptable, as you say, it depends on what that university's mission is or what the department's mission is, but it can be totally adapted. But what it is a platform, a method to make it both meaningful and manageable.
Which I think is very important. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Great point. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, Laura. Anything else you want to reflect on or share about your experience of CSCA this year?
It was just phenomenal. I absolutely enjoyed it very much. Every bit of it. We were there for just a couple of days, but I loved being there and getting new insights and ideas. And I'm tickled to be able to share a few of those with my colleagues.
Thanks for sharing, Laura.
Absolutely.